evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us for this evening's production.
Please find your way to your seats. If you haven't already, we will be starting shortly.
In case of an emergency, the exits are to your left and right. There will be no photography or video recording during tonight's production.
And for the love of theater, please turn your cell phones off. It is really distracting to get a call from your Aunt Mildred in the middle of the show. For tonight's performance, I will be playing the part of Julia.
And I'll be playing the part of Derek. You'll be acquainted with these characters very soon.
And you will be playing the part of the jury. What are we missing?
Oh, rid of us. We haven't introduced ourselves. My name is Man.
And I am Woman. Now, before we start, I need you all to know that this is not a true story. It's a script that we wrote.
Yes, this isn't at all a real story, completely made up. But it is something that happens every day. It's a story that repeats itself throughout time in different ways.
It's certainly nothing that he hasn't seen before. It's just about time for us to start.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Meet Dr. Derek Hunt, the first defendant, a licensed counselor and probably one of the most zen people you'll ever meet. He hardly ever loses his cool. When he's in the room, you look to him for answers, for comfort. You can't help it. Hi, Dr. Hunt?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Julia Wolf. You're a cop?
Meet Julia Wolf, an unstoppable businesswoman who's not afraid to let you know when she's in the room and who's in charge when she's there. When she walks in, you can tell by the scent of perfume and brimstone. Yes, thank you for being prompt.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Found the office okay?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Doctor, I don't want to waste your time. I sent you an email, but you can respond. There's been a bit of a misunderstanding.
Sorry, I was just getting to that. Misunderstanding? I don't think so. I have you on my schedule.
Yes, you do, but I don't need to be here.
Oh?
There was a bit of a mix-up at work the other day. Everything was resolved, but HR decided to step in, taking care of the situation. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Well, according to the agency, you have an hour of my time to waste. So would you like to sit down and tell me about the incident?
There's not much more to tell. Somebody had a job to do and they weren't doing it, and I let them know.
Seems like you didn't more than let them know.
Okay, maybe, but I think I was pretty justified in my frustration.
Well, regardless, you have 1 hour with me for a week. Now, it's not my rule.
Look, you weren't there. There was a whole thing that happened.
I understand, however, that you are required to be here. Whatever occurred does not matter.
Oh my God! Are you sick? This isn't my fault! Some people think I have a temper issue.
Really?
That's why they sent me. This guy was an idiot.
He may very well be, but he is not here. You are. He is not my concern. You are. And as long as you are here, we will be discussing you. Either you stay or you lose your employment. So, we can either sit here for an hour in complete silence for a week, or you can make use of the time and discuss whatever you'd like. Deal? So, what would you like to talk? All right. As you can see, Julia and Derek hit it off quite nicely. This went on for quite some time. At the end of the hour, Well, that's the hour. Have a good day, Miss Wolf. There's an intriguing dissonance between Julia and Derek. Why is there this innate battle between men and women? I think you may know that every person desires power and control, that's certain. But this battle for power sometimes becomes more fierce when it's between a man and a woman. But this wasn't the original design, please understand. The design was for peace, love, and cooperation. But now, cooperation becomes coercion. Peace becomes payback, and love becomes loathing, all in the hot pursuit for power. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, dominance is a dangerous drug. You get a taste for it, and you're addicted. You're a slave. And this comes with a price. Perhaps it won't end like that for these two. Let's move on. Come on in, Julia. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Before we begin, I need to apologize. The way that I acted yesterday was childish and completely unprofessional. I may have been frustrated, but that was no reason for me to take it out on you. You didn't deserve that. Please accept my apology.
Thank you for your apology. I understand where you're coming from. A lot of the people who come through that door, well, let's just say I've seen worse.
That's almost hard to believe.
So you're willing to be here and to speak?
Yes.
Even though you believe it wasn't your fault?
Not really like I have a choice.
Not really, no. But it's big of you to consign, however unjust it may seem. Shall we begin?
Sure.
Let's start with a simple interview. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions just to get to know you better.
Okay.
There will be a few questions that I ask which you need not answer, but it helps if you do. They're on some deeper topics, more personal. Okay?
Okay.
Well, they already sent over your name, your email address. I got them from the company. We got to this a bit yesterday, but what would you like to work on together? Why are you here?
I got in a fight with a coworker. They weren't doing their job, and I let them know how frustrated I was.
We're working on something together?
Yes, we were, but I didn't even want to be on this project with him. I specifically asked to be put on this alone.
Oh, why couldn't you be? It's a big project.
My supervisor thought it would be too difficult of a task for me to handle by myself as a woman.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So he stuck me with a new guy. Said it would be good for him to learn from one of his more seasoned employees, but he wasn't doing the work. So I expressed my feelings.
So how did it make you feel when your supervisor said you needed help as a woman? Describe that.
Well, he never said that I needed help, but it was obviously implied that he stuck me with that idiot.
Okay, so you're frustrated because you perceive that you were teamed up with this newbie because your supervisor thought you couldn't handle it as a woman. I'm understanding this correctly.
Yes.
Well, Miss Wolf, that makes sense.
Really?
Yes. I would be frustrated too if my supervisor thought I couldn't handle something based on my gender.
Well, it's refreshing to hear from a man.
I'd like to come back to this, but let's move on, shall we?
Okay.
As some of you may know, the doctor is conducting what is referred to as an intake interview, of which some of the details need not be presented to the jury at this time. The following questions consisted of medical health history, mental health history, etc. Why don't we move on to the more relevant information? All right, these next few questions might be sensitive, so if you feel uncomfortable, you need not answer, okay?
Okay.
Is there any personal traumatic history that you can think of which affects who you are today?
Guess you could say that.
Would you care to elaborate?
Well, my mom walked out of me when I was 12. My dad, there was some stuff that happened with his work, and he just kind of shut down. And I don't even want to talk about Jack.
Jack is...
My ex-husband.
Ah, well, it might be helpful to discuss
No,
something...
let's not talk about Jack yet, please.
That's great. Is there anything else? Something, any significant events?
No, that's all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not all. For most people, it's not one singular event that changes them, but it's the small moments that chip away at us and change us over time. Nathan, Julia's father, was one of these slowly chipping forces. Julia remembers the shift in him when she was about 8. Nathan was never a perfect man, but he loved his little girl. But deceit and betrayal can do a lot to a man. He and his partner were the purchasing managers for a car company. His partner embezzled funds and turned the blame on him. This false accusation not only lost him his job, but his sense of self. He became a quiet, distant man, and the only time he wasn't quiet was when he was angry. Very angry. Julia walked on eggshells around him, terrified of ever making him upset. She internalized his hatred, partially blaming herself for the distance and hating him for the rest. A man's love is very important to a woman, and that starts with a father's love for his daughter. When that love is lost, well, only you can imagine what that could do to a young girl.
We have one more question, and then that'll be the hour. What would you like to get out of therapy? What are some goals?
Oh, I don't know. I just want to change my life. That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Perhaps. In what way?
For the better.
For the better. Well, we can work on that. But not today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Miss Wolf.
Call me Julia.
Have a good day, Julia. A little give. Did you see it? Though I suppose it's easy to open up an already bleeding heart.
Over the next 2 sessions, Dr. Hunt and Miss Wolf proceeded through the therapeutic process cordially, him probing, her answering with a vague but slightly emotional response, both growing a bit more comfortable each day.
At the 5th and final session, I'd like to move on and talk a little bit more about your family. Then, since this is our last session, I thought we could finish up our discussion about your termination plan. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Let's start with your mom. Could you tell me a bit more about her?
My mother was an interesting woman. Typical housewife, didn't really know how to be anything but a wife and mother. I was always a disappointment to her.
How did she express her disappointment?
Well, for one thing, she always punished me for every little thing I did wrong, but she never punished my brother. No, David was given a pass, and then I usually had to pay for his mistakes. She didn't know how to take care of kids, not in the way that they need to be taken care of. She just wanted me to be this perfect little girl.
She wasn't too empathetic towards you kids, huh?
That's one way to put it, yeah.
Any redeemable traits?
No, not really. She was just totally overbearing. At least that's how I remember it. She always had something to say, something critical. You know how moms are.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
I can understand your frustration, sure. My mother was a bit the same way. In fact, she expected me to be the perfect little girl too. She had no idea how to raise boys. Critical, overbearing, very little empathy or understanding. Does that sound right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. Mrs. Hunt was a very strict woman, obsessed with order and morality. She feared the chaotic nature of her boys and her husband. Derek had a brother, Nick. Growing up, Nick was a bit of a free spirit, disobedient, uncontrolled. He was the exact opposite of Derek, who was calm, gentle. The boy's mother gave up raising Nick. She just couldn't handle him, so that job fell to her often drunk husband, who let his rough and tumble son do whatever he wanted. But he had no idea what to do with gentle Derek, so that job was left to Mrs. Hunt. And she was determined not to let him turn into Nick. So, every time Derek acted in a way which even slightly resembled his brother's disruptive behavior, he would be chastised. Please understand, discipline at this age is necessary. But Mrs. Hunt's correction often had emasculating effects. I'm not being clear, but perhaps a story, an example. There's a time in a boy's life when something will happen. Something that happens at night, in his dreams. It's a natural occurrence, but a rather embarrassing one. And when this time came for Derek, he of course was confused and ran to tell his mother. But she was shocked, disgusted. She slapped him and yelled at him and accused him of doing it himself. Keep your hands where God can see them, Derek. The devil prowls around like a roaring lion seeking idle hands and lustful boys. This memory and a plethora of others like it, as you can imagine, shaped Derek. I apologize for the difficult story, but I deem it as necessary evidence for the case at hand. Let's move on. But enough about me. I'm just saying I understand it, so.
Sure.
My mother was a strong woman, and she raised me strictly. It seems like your mother was the same, that's all I'm saying.
Dr. Hunt, do you have a problem with strong women?
Of course not. I think there's a place for strong women in families, businesses, and societies. I've only ever known strong women. Do you like strong men, Julia?
I like a strong man who knows how to let a strong woman lead once in a while, who's secure in himself and treats a woman as his equal.
So, what about Jack? Was he a strong man?
Yes, but in all the wrong ways.
How so?
He never considered me. He only ever thought about himself. Jack and I worked in this company together for a while, and he would continually be put up for promotions that I was. He never considered that maybe I wanted the job too. He would even gloat.
That sounds like it would be extremely frustrating.
It was infuriating.
So, if you don't mind me asking, why did you marry him in the first place? What was attractive or good about him?
Same interests? Proximity? I don't know. Marriage is like a business partnership. It's only good when you work together and you get something out of it.
And what were you getting out of it?
Companionship. Someone to come home to every night. The sex was pretty good.
You enjoyed the physical part of your marriage?
Yeah. I've had that forever.
Do you miss it?
I guess I do.
It must be hard to have something so constant like that in your life and then suddenly have to drop it.
Yeah, it was.
So, what exactly happened to Jack? Again, if you don't mind me asking.
Jack and I were not on good terms. I found emails on his work computer with his secretary that were definitely not work-related.
I see. And how did you confront him?
I told the company, and they fired him. I took him to court, and they made sure that he never worked again.
He lost his job over an affair?
Not exactly.
Okay.
I told them that he had abused me.
Had he? He hadn't.
He might as well have. You have to understand that he hurt me. He deserved it.
I don't get paid to judge. But can I ask you a question?
What?
Did you ever regret it?
Sometimes.
Can I tell you what I think you do?
Please.
I think the past is not your present. That decision has been made, and since you can't go back in time, the only thing you can do is move forward. The past doesn't have to define who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, since we only have so much time left, what I would like to do now is finish up our discussion about your termination plan.
Actually, I'd like to continue sessions. I think I'm benefiting from this. I don't want to stop it.
I think that's a good idea. We're created for connection, are we not? The more disconnected we are, the lonelier we are. The lonelier we are, the more susceptible we become to that which seems to satisfy our souls. Julia seems lonely, doesn't she? By her own doing, please understand, what she's done is unacceptable, condemnable, even. But she's protected in a professional counseling relationship by the ethics code concerning confidentiality. But she's not safe from judgment. Judgment from Dr. Hunt and from you.
It's human nature to want to blame something or someone for our problems. We don't like taking responsibility for our own actions. Now, that's not to say that terrible, unfair things don't happen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you can relate to this. But we can choose. We can choose to react or not to react. We can choose to take what we can, pack our bags, and move on. It's part of life. Human nature wants to be absolved of their sins, though they don't always know it. So they find ways to cast blame, to shove accusation, to find anybody but themselves guilty. But guilt, what we often call conviction, is only truly felt when one recognizes their own faults. Guilt must be invited. Julia and Derek continue to have sessions for the next month. So this guy and I were on the roof of the movie theater when all of a sudden I hear someone running up the stairs behind us, and then I turn around and he's gone.
Really?
Yeah, first boyfriend ever. I thought he was a gentleman, or at least not a jerk, but guess I was wrong.
Some guy.
Right? So they call the cops and they take me down to the police station. Oh my gosh, I was terrified that my dad was going to be furious with me. He was always a ticking time bomb when it came to this kind of stuff. But he wasn't mad. He actually laughed. We spent the whole way home joking about the same kind of stupid stuff he did when he was a kid. Best memory I have with my dad.
That is an amazing story.
It is certainly memorable.
You were a little daredevil.
No, he was just that guy who was fun and dangerous, you know?
Attractive.
Oh, yeah, I thought so. It was also high school, and I was desperate. He obviously liked me, though. He was always trying stuff with me.
Ah, I see. And how did you react?
When he tried stuff, well, usually it's laughing. But sometimes I love it.
Oh?
It feels good to be wanted, especially when it's stuff.
I understand. Do you have many more memories like this one?
Oh yeah, I have memories where I did other stupid stuff like that, sure.
Well, more good memories with your dad, I mean.
Oh, no. So what about you?
No, I don't have any memories with your dad.
About dating in high school. You're an attractive guy. Surely the girls were fawning all over you.
Oh, no, I was a huge nerd. I wasn't exactly what most girls were after. Well, there was one girl, though.
Oh?
Yeah, she was a sweetheart.
Attractive.
I suppose so. Wasn't really my type.
And what is your type, Dr. Hunt?
Well, at the time, a fiery girl.
And what about now?
Now? Not much has changed. We were discussing, your dad was angry pretty often, correct?
Yeah, that are quiet, and now I'm kind of quiet, where you just sort of floated through life.
Do you think that that's where most of your issues with temper came from?
Definitely.
How's that been recently? Have you found that these sessions are helping?
Oh yeah, you've been helping a ton. I do still find it hard to control though sometimes.
That makes sense. Once you develop a habit, it's hard to break. Would you like to try a new approach?
Sure, why not?
So just some simple breathing exercise, a mindfulness technique. There's a really simple one called box breathing. You breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale for 4 counts. 4, 4, 4. And you repeat that until you feel recentered.
Easy to remember, I like it.
Just make sure that when you breathe, you're not breathing into your chest and your shoulders. Everything should come from your ribs. Not quite. Stand up and show you. Do I have your permission to touch you?
Yeah.
When you breathe in, just push against my hands, okay?
Okay.
In. Again. Good, just like that. It might help if you to focus if you close your eyes. Just keep breathing.
Turn of events. How quickly love and trust can turn to something much more soul-crushing. A simple setup, a quick execution, and no time flat. 2 people have turned their lives upside down. It's human nature, isn't it? An animalistic instinct, a chemical reaction to a perfect storm of circumstances that set them up for failure. It's all they know, all they're taught to do. I'm sure that you can sense that this is not true. There is always a choice to be made.
But there is something in all of us that craves passion, pleasure, and power. Some people call it the id. We usually refer to it as the flesh. And it's traditionally made up of two very powerful sources. Lust, a gluttonous desire for pleasure, and aggression, a result to when our lust goes unquenched, and a strive for dominance, also known as hatred.
I wanted to talk to you about something.
First or after?
First, if that's okay.
All right. Something to do with your family?
No.
Something to do with work?
No.
Well, you've piqued my curiosity.
Something to do with you and me.
Oh.
What would you say to seeing each other outside of sessions?
I don't know about that, Julia. There's a lot of risk involved.
I'm not asking for a public relationship. I just want to know what we are.
I think that everything we are can stay in this room.
I want to know what I mean to you.
You mean so much to me, Julia. You have no idea.
Then why don't we talk anymore?
We don't talk?
You know so much about me, and I hardly know anything about you.
Well, that's kind of how it works in therapy.
This is not therapy anymore. You and I know that. It does help, though.
Well, then that should be enough, right?
I want to get to know the man I've been spending all of my time with. Make sure he's exactly who I think he is.
Trust me, you don't need to know anymore. Why can't we just be happy with what we have?
Because if you really cared about me, you would let me in.
Just believe me when I say I do care about you. But I also care about my work. I'm sure you can understand that.
Yes, me too. But what's happening? Can I make some tea?
Fine.
I'll make it. Do you have any more tea bags?
It's in the drawer of my desk.
Derek, I need you to know if there's something. What is this?
Damn it, Julie. I always take it off.
Is that what I think it
Julie,
is?
believe me when I say it's nothing.
So you're divorced?
No.
I can't believe it.
It's not technically over, but it is for me, Julia. My marriage means nothing to me. She means nothing.
That's just what Jack said.
Look, being married to her is... it's unbearable. And being with you helps me forget just
Oh,
a
that's
little.
sick! You are sick!
I thought you enjoyed this.
You used
Well, you
me.
didn't mind it.
How could you do this to me, to
It's
anybody?
not like you're perfect. You told me all about what you did to Jack, and I never said a word. Can you come off your high horse and get over yourself?
Get over myself.
You were doing better. You just said that this was helping. I'm helping you. This is good for you.
This isn't good for anybody. This is disgusting and completely unethical. If anyone were to find out.
What?
If anyone were to find out about this, do you know what it would do to
I
you?
do, but I don't think you do.
Yes, I do.
You wouldn't dare.
Yes, I would.
You have no idea what that would do to me.
I have ruined a man before, and I can do it again.
How dare you? After all I've done for you, how dare you? You have done this before. You've seen what a ruined life looks like. Julia, you should know that if this gets out, so does every single thing in your record. Confidentiality doesn't matter in legal situations. If you bring me to court, I will make sure that everything you did to Jack will come out. And it will ruin everything you are. Everything you are, I can take it away like that.
You disgust me. You are everything that's wrong with men. You are a pig.
Just like a woman, making stupid decisions and then blaming everybody but yourself. You pathetic lying snake.
Just like a man. You try to get your hand on any warm body that gets close and think you can get away with it.
I hate you.
You know what? I won't tell anyone. So you'll stay the hell out of my life.
I hate you.
I hate you. jury, all the evidence has been presented to you in detail. Now let us hear from the defendants. Dr. Hunt, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Let's start with Miss Wolf. She came to you against her will for counseling, correct?
Correct.
And yet she kept coming back for sessions. Why?
I suppose it's because she thought there was more to discuss. She needed more help.
Help you believed you could provide?
It is my practice, yes.
Is it usually part of your practice to assist your clients by coercing them into intimate situations?
There was no coercion necessary. I suppose you're implying more.
I'm not implying, I am stating. You manipulated Julia emotionally and physically for your own selfish desires.
Yes, Julia slept with me. But to assume that I took advantage of her against her will is a ridiculous claim. She wanted the relationship. She benefited from it.
You did as well, didn't you?
Yes.
And yet, you conveniently forgot to mention that you were married.
I never tell any of my clients that I'm married.
Omission of the truth does not change the fact that it's still true, Dr. Hunt.
All right. Yes, I kept my marriage a secret. My wife doesn't care, you understand?
Doesn't she? Hasn't Mary spent the past 6 years trying to connect with you, understand you, love you?
No, ma'am, she hasn't. After we lost the baby, she shut down and shut me out. She became inconsolable. I haven't seen her since.
So this excuses your actions.
Wouldn't you be lonely?
Answer the question.
No, it doesn't.
Let's talk about your mother.
What does my mother
You
have?
said that she didn't know how to raise boys. Do you believe this has anything to do with how you treat women, your wife, Julia?
Don't try to psychoanalyze.
Answer the question, Dr. Hunt. I will not ask you again.
Perhaps.
Dr. Hunt, I have a very important question to ask you, and your complete honesty is essential to the trial. Do you hate women?
That's an idiotic question. Right, just answer. No, I do not.
Your actions seem to show otherwise.
My mother raised me to respect women.
So you believe that women deserve respect?
I didn't say that.
So they don't?
Not all of them. Some women manipulate. Some women coerce. Some women lie and steal and demean you and try to take away everything you care about. Some women hate. No, ma'am, not all women deserve respect. Miss Wolf, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Why am I here?
Do you swear, Miss Wolf?
I do.
Miss Wolf, 5 weeks ago you began counseling with Dr. Hunt in accordance with your company's conduct policy, stating, and I quote, if an employee of any rank should engage in an altercation consisting of physical, emotional, or verbal assault, that employee must commit to 5 one-hour anger management sessions with a licensed counselor provided by the company, end quote.
I'm aware.
And yet you requested further sessions beyond the base requirement, correct?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I believed it was helping me. Apparently, I was mistaken.
Ms. Wolf, will you please explain to the jury what these continued sessions consisted of?
I talked about my childhood, my ex-husband.
Ms. Wolf, please inform the court what really happened behind closed doors. You're under oath.
You mean the way that predator took advantage of me?
Elaborate.
He used me. He saw an opportunity and he took it at my expense, of course.
Ms. Wolf, you're under oath. Please tell the truth and nothing but
I am
the truth.
telling the truth. How dare you accuse me?
How should I know? Why should I believe you, Ms. Wolf? According to your records, you are not a woman to be trusted. This is not the first time you've accused a man of misconduct, is it? Your husband was quickly surpassing you in your professional pursuits. He beat you to the punch every time and never even considered you, did he?
No, he didn't.
And on top of that, he broke his covenant with you and slept with another woman, is that correct?
Yes.
But perhaps we're making a mistake by bringing you in here.
Yes, maybe you did.
Perhaps accusing your husband of beating you and in turn crushing his career was something that you had every right and reason to do.
Well, somebody had to.
Somebody had to take away his joy, his future, his life.
Don't you believe in justice?
Yes, ma'am, I do. But you decided to bring it about by means of deception, purely out of vengeance. You were once under oath, and under oath you lied. You lied to the world. Not only
What
that,
do you think?
what I'm saying, Miss Wolf, is perhaps you don't fully understand what justice is. Perhaps you don't fully understand the reason you are here today. It seems as though you believe that anyone who does you wrong deserves to be slandered, punished, and ruined.
No, I didn't say that. You're twisting my words.
I don't think so. It appears that you believe you are entitled to decide the fate of any man who wrongs you. That justice must be served, and it's your job to dish it out. Am I right?
Dare you talk to me like that?
Miss Wolf, do you hate men?
I never said that. Why would you ask that?
Merely looking at the evidence, Miss Wolf, it's a completely reasonable conclusion. Thinking through your records, your father was emotionally absent. Your husband trampled your career. It broke your heart and never even apologized. Is that true?
Yes.
In fact, it seems as though no man ever stood up for you. Is that correct?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. I have spent my whole life fighting for a place in this world, and since no man was going to help me, no man was going to stand in my way.
So you do hate men.
You know what? Maybe I do.
You obviously feel no remorse in destroying men, and you yourself stated that men get in your way. This leads me to believe that you have no respect for them at all.
It's not entirely true.
No?
No, you don't understand. When you've been hurt over and over again by someone, by anyone, you lose trust. Some men try to lord over your life and ignore you and demean you and make you feel scared and unsafe and alone.
Yes, I hate women. Not one has ever proved themselves to be worthy of my respect.
They act like animals. They only want what they want, and they don't care what's in their way.
I never learned how to respect. I never learned how to love. I only ever learned to avoid the disgusting masculine stereotypes. To be nothing like my dad and brother. Never drink, never smoke.
I had to be tough or else I would be invisible. I had to be everything a man could ever dream of, his fantasy and his nightmare all at once.
Always control your lust. And when you don't, you better hope and pray that God didn't see you.
And you better fight your way out of every hole that life puts you in and ignore everything that has caused you harm.
I know it's not an excuse, but I never learned. I never knew how to be a good man.
Okay. What I did was wrong. I went too far. What do you want me to do about it?
All right, I'm sorry. I hate women. Is that what you want? You want me to feel bad?
I've made so many mistakes. I regret so much, and I have to live with it.
I'm sorry I hurt Mary. I'm sorry I hurt Julia. I was so lonely. I hate myself.
I know I hurt Jack. And Derek, I have crushed so many people so that they could just understand how I felt.
I am guilty.
I'm guilty.
After little deliberation, the jury unanimously found the defendants guilty of adultery, false witness, and hatred. But ladies and gentlemen, in a turn of events, the judge has pronounced the defendants not guilty, completely ignoring the jury's verdict. He stated, "By the power vested in me, I will forgive all charges against you on one condition. Give up your past, your present, and seek after what is good. Seek after who is good." They took the deal. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound contrived? Well, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there was nothing we could do. We couldn't deviate from the script. I don't think that you...
Come in, please. Don't worry, nothing's wrong. I kept a promise. I haven't told anybody.
I haven't either.
Are you cleaning out your office?
My wife is leaving me, and I'm leaving my practice. I can't do this anymore. I won't. I have to change. And I can't pretend like I can help anybody anymore. I almost turned myself in. Came clean. 3 times. What are you doing here?
I spent the past year trying to put my life back together after what happened between us. But it's like this black hole that no matter how far away from it I get, it just sucks me back in. I trusted you. You saw me when I was vulnerable, and all you did was use me. You made me think you loved me. And I believed you. I want to hate you. I want you to be the reason that my life fell apart. I want to put all of my hatred and blame and guilt on you, and I could. Maybe I should. I can't. I can't because you're not the only one that's to blame. I played a part in this too. If I could take it all back, if I could erase, and I have to live with it. I spent the rest of my life saying I'm sorry to all of the people that I've hurt. It would never be enough. I wish I could hate you. But every time I try, I hate myself more.
I'm so sorry. I don't think you could forgive me.
Forget? No. But forgive? Maybe.
A simple story with simple characters, but a not so simple ending.
sure this must be confusing to some of you. The story is terrible.
Makes no sense.
Contrived.
Lazy writing.
Foolish.
They should have gotten what they deserved.
She should be in jail.
He should be dead.
Why are these stories so unordinary? Why aren't we used to seeing them more often?
Maybe they're right.
About what?
Was it too ridiculous?
Too unbelievable.
Too miraculous?
Possibly.
Well, we did our best. And you played your part well, too. You were a wonderful jury, and your ruling was just.
I certainly would not have wanted to play the judge.
Must be a tough job.
A complex character.
But he always plays his part well, too.
Always has.
Always will.
Now remember, folks, this is just a show. It's a story. Nothing too important, nothing to get too worked up over.
Shall we do it again tomorrow?
From the top.